What's going on, guys? I am just getting ready, but welcome to this episode of Aussie English. We're going to be covering phrasal verbs. This is the sixth, I think, or seventh component now. I keep forgetting which component it is, but this is going to be component, I think it's number seven. Number seven, we're going to be covering phrasal verbs with the particle for after them. So we're going to go through that shortly. I'm going to wait for a little bit to see all of you guys showing up. Hey Rocio, hey Lala, you guys are always here first. How are you going? Make sure you give me a thumbs up or a love heart if you guys can hear me okay. The usual spiel, I hope you guys are all going really well. Remember, you can sign up for this phrasal verb course if you want to get it before it's finished. In order to save $13, you can sign up today and you'll get it as it comes out. Just follow the link in the description, guys. I'm just going to jump across and give this a cheeky little share on Facebook before we get started, just so that it boosts it a little bit. Make sure you give it a share if you can, guys, because it'll make it more noticeable for other people to see it, and yeah, hopefully get me a little bit more coverage so a few more people show up. But how have you guys been finding the phrasal verb course so far? I would love to hear some feedback if you guys have a minute, so feel free to chuck a comment down here while I wait for Facebook to load up and then give this a quick share. Are you liking the setup of these components, I guess, for this course? Are you enjoying the content? I like the fact, at least from my point of view, that it's more of like a discussion with you guys as opposed to me just reading off a transcript. I like being able to sort of talk more naturally and just discuss this like I was chatting to you in front of me. How are you going, Eliana? I hope you're well. Welcome to the class. Again, I'm just going to give this a quick share. Facebook's so slow at the moment. I'm going to give it a quick share and then we can get into today's content. So, welcome to the class, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. All right, we've given that a share. You guys are all here. Camilo, how are you going? Remember, give me a thumbs up, guys, if you can hear me okay. And we will get into the content. All right. Ready, steady, go. So welcome to this component of effortless phrasal verbs, guys. Today we're going to be going through the particle for. The particle for. For is similar to the particle by that we went over previously, and other ones like the particle to, where there are a number of different meanings. Again, I looked up this to see if I could more easily describe it or define it for you guys, but there were at least 7 or 8 different definitions for how it can be used. Let's not get bogged down in the details. Let's just sort of go through a bunch of these different phrasal verbs that go with the preposition or with the particle for, and hopefully you'll get a feel for it. You'll get a sense of how to use the particle for and combine it with verbs. Even if you don't really get that sense, that natural feel, hopefully you'll see, you'll recognize, and you'll remember some of the phrasal verbs that we'll go through. All right, so number 1, to ask for something. To ask for something. This is to request something. So he asked for help. To ask for something. Also, I want to point out the fact that I say for as for. Okay, so I say it very quickly and it's a schwa sound. For. He asked for something. See, it's so tiny. He asked for something. You can ask for it. Ask for it. This is like an expression, and it is to act in a way that deserves punishment or the repercussions for something. So if you were a kid who pulled on a dog's tail, you're pulling on the tail and the dog turns around and barks at you. If I was the parent, I could say, don't get upset, you were asking for it. You were doing the wrong thing and you deserve the repercussions or the punishment. I mean, the kid's not going to get hurt, but if the dog barks at him, it might scare him, and I could say, well, by pulling on the dog's tail, you were asking for it. To allow for something. If you allow for something, you take into account something when making plans. So, for example, have you allowed for possible delays on the highway while driving home? That is, imagine you have an appointment at home at, say, 12 o'clock. You know it's going to take an hour to drive home. You have to be on the highway for 50 minutes or so. And sometimes, depending on the time of day, there's going to be a lot of traffic or there might be no traffic. And so if you allow for whether there'll be a lot of traffic, it's that you take into account the presence of traffic or not so that you have enough time to get home on time. If you answer for something, to answer for something, this is to be held responsible for something. So the murderer, someone who's killed someone, the murderer is going to answer for what he did. He's going to answer for it. He's going to answer for his crime. He'll answer for what he did. He's going to be held responsible. He'll be punished. You can angle for something. If you have an angle, it's to, have a certain position on something where it's on an angle. But if you use it as a verb to angle for something, I guess it's like to kind of go for something, but as opposed to go straight for it, it's going on an angle to that thing. But we can use this to mean to plan or scheme to achieve something. So to try and get something, usually in a dodgy, kind of sly way. So if we angle for something, it's the idea of planning or scheming to achieve it. So he's angling for a chance to take her job. So he wants her job. He doesn't want to go about it correctly or, wait for her to step down, to stand down from her position. So in other words, he's angling, trying to find another way to get her to stand down and then take her job. He's angling for her job. To be here for someone or to be there for someone. So we can use here or we can use there. To be here for someone, to be there for someone. This means to be available to provide someone comfort. So imagine that someone's father has died and they're going through a tough time. They're experiencing a really tough time. I could say, don't worry, mate. I'll be there with you. I'll be there for you. So I'll be there to comfort you. I'll be available to provide support for you. I'll be there for you. It just depends on how you want to think about this. I could also say I'll be here for you, meaning that if you need comfort, here is where I am, and I'll be here for you if you need it. Okay, so she's always here for me, and I'm always there for her. It just depends on how you're thinking about position, here or there. But to be there, to be here for someone. To be in for something, to be in for something. If you're in for something, it is able to expect or anticipate that something's going to happen, okay? Or about to suffer from something. So if I'd set up a surprise birthday party for someone, maybe my mother, maybe my father, and my dad's coming home, okay? Imagine my dad's coming home from work. I could say he's in for a surprise when he comes home, or he's in for a shock when he comes home, when he arrives home. So he's going to, I guess in that situation, he's not going to expect or anticipate it. It'll be something he's about to suffer, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a good thing. He'll be in for a shock or a surprise, but you could also use it in a negative way, say, again, if I was a murderer and I killed someone, then I am in for a bad time when I go to jail. So I can expect, I can anticipate having a bad time. I'll be in for a bad time when I go to jail. We can also use be in for something to mean incarcerated for something. So to be put in jail for something. Someone might say to a criminal who just ended up in jail, they've come to jail, they've been sent to jail. Someone could say, what are you in for? So why are you in jail? What is it that you've done? What is the reason for which you are in jail, in prison? What are you in for? So he's in for armed robbery, he's in for murder, he's in for larceny. It could be anything, but that's to be in for something. What was the crime you did to end up in jail? All right. You could be out for something. To be out for something is to seek or pursue, especially to determinedly pursue something to someone's own benefit. So if you're out for something, it means you want something, you want to get something, and it's going to benefit you. It may not benefit everyone else, but it's something you want. So this guy doesn't care about anyone else. He's just out for money. He's just out for money. All he wants is money, his own benefit. If someone, say this murderer again, murdered someone's wife, the guy could be out for revenge against this dude. So if the guy tries to find him and then get revenge on him, he's out for revenge. It's what he wants, it's what he's seeking, it's what he's pursuing, it's what he is out for. All right. To call for something. To summon or call someone over. So he called for his parents. You could also sort of pair this with the particle out. He called out for his parents. Maybe I phoned someone. I'm calling my parents up, and I'm calling them up because my children want to speak to my parents, their grandparents. So I'm calling up for my parents, for the children, okay? That's a confusing way of thinking about it, but that's how, we can start pairing these together when we start doing multiple, motions or changes in position. It can also mean demand. So the people called for the politician to make change, or they called for the politician to step down, to resign, okay? And you can also use this to mean be required or deserved, okay? So to call for, in this sense, this good news calls for a celebration. It deserves a celebration. It requires a celebration. But we can also use this in the negative form, but we change the verb from call to uncall. So this is where we would say that was uncalled for, as in it wasn't okay that you did that. It wasn't deserved, it wasn't required, it was uncalled for. So that was really uncalled for. This will often happen when people insult someone or do something that someone doesn't agree with. They'll say that wasn't called for, or they'll say it was uncalled for. You can cry out for something or for someone. We kind of went over that. Sort of like call out, cry out's kind of the same thing. A baby might cry out for his parents. He might just cry for his parents, but he's just wanting his parents to come to him. You can care for something or care for someone. So that is to act as a caretaker, to look after someone or something. She's caring for her mother. I'm caring for my father, to care for someone. You can also use care for something to mean, would you like another thing, or would you like something? Do you want something? So you might hear people say, would you care for another bicky? Would you care for another coffee? Or would you care for a beer? Just means, do you want one? Would you like one? It's kind of a polite way of asking if this is something you'd like. My grandmother might say this, come around with the bickies, with the biscuits and say, would you guys care for a biscuit? Would you like a biscuit? Do you want one? Would you care for one? All right, so pass for something. If you pass for something, it's like you appear to be this thing, or you're mistaken as this thing. So the wolf passed for a sheep. Imagine you've got a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing, so he's got a sheepskin on him, pretending to be a sheep. He wants to appear like a sheep or appear as a sheep. The wolf passed for a sheep, so he appeared to be one. To take someone for something. This means to regard as something or to consider someone mistakenly. So you might use this if you accidentally bump into someone and think it was your friend, and you're like, oh, hey Pete, how's it going? And then they turn around and you're like, oh, sorry, took you for someone else. Took you for someone else, meaning I thought you were someone else. I mistakenly called out, hey Pete, and it turns out that you weren't the right person. You could also say, do you take me for a fool? That's like, do you look at me and see someone who's a fool? Do I appear to be a fool to you? Do you take me for a fool? Do you think I'm stupid? Do you take me for a fool? And we could also say that we took the wolf for a sheep. So the wolf's in the sheep's clothing, a wolf in sheep's clothing. We looked at it, we thought it was a sheep. We took the wolf for a sheep. You could also mistake someone for something, or mistake something for something. Similar sort of thing, you thought it appeared to be something, it's not that thing, you mistook it, so you mistook it for something else. The wolf was mistaken for a sheep, we mistook the wolf for a sheep. Alright, let's keep going. You can look for something, you can search for something. He's looking for his lost car keys. He lost his keys and now he's looking for them. He wants to find them. He could be searching for them. He's searching for his lost car keys. We can wait for someone. So if you're awaiting something, you're waiting for that thing. Oh, I'm just sitting here, mate, just waiting for the bus. Just waiting for the bus. If I wanted a taxi instead of the bus, I might whistle for the taxi. So I make a whistling sound because I want to attract the taxi to me. I'm whistling for the taxi. I'm whistling for the taxi. All right, you could settle for something. If you settle for something, this is the idea that I guess you reluctantly say, okay, this will do. This will do. This will suffice. I settle for this thing. So we won't settle for less, meaning we won't be okay for anything less than what we have in our heads as the acceptable amount. So to settle for something is kind of like to accept something. You can feel for someone. I guess this is to be compassionate, to empathize with someone. You can feel for them. We all feel for the victims of the tsunami. So remember the tsunami, a tidal wave that came in and hit Japan. It came in off the coast of Japan and hit Fukushima. The tsunami caused a lot of deaths as well as a lot of victims with no homes that were injured. We felt for them. So this is, we had empathy for them, we felt compassion for them, we felt for them. You can also make for something. If you make for something, it's that you go towards that thing, usually an exit. So if I got up now and walked over to the door, tried to run away, I'm making for the door. So if someone was trying to escape, say, a prison, you could say he's making a break for it. He's trying to get away. He's trying to escape. He's making for the exit. He's trying to leave. Okay? To make for it. You can sit in for something or someone. To sit in for something or someone is to take its place. So to sit in that thing's location literally, but we can use it figuratively as well. So you could say, for instance, if there's a judge presiding over a court case and they're sick one day and can't come in, you have another judge come in and sit in the chair. They're literally sitting in the chair, but figuratively they're sitting in for the judge that can't make it. So they're sitting in for the judge who is sick. You could also stand in for someone. So sit, stand. Stand in for someone would be the idea of taking their position. So he's standing in for his boss this week. That would be the idea that his boss is away, his boss could be sick, his boss could be on holiday, but someone else is standing in, is in the position for the boss. They're standing in for their boss. There's a few other ways that we can use stand for something as well. We've got about 3 here. Stand for something. So you can stand for something in that you advocate or support that thing. Obama stood for change. It's what he wanted, it's what he advocated for, it's what he supported. He stood for change. You can stand for something in that you tolerate that thing, or you won't stand for that thing, you won't tolerate that thing. We won't stand for sexism at work, or we won't stand for racism at work. You'll often hear this in the negative for what people won't tolerate. They won't stand for those things. And the last one here, to stand for something can mean to mean something, to symbolize something, and to represent something. So obviously, if we talk about the ACT, the letters A, C, and T, that stands for Australia Capital Territory. So the abbreviation ACT stands for Australian Capital Territory. That's what it represents, that's what it means, that's what it symbolises. You can stand up for that you can stand up for something or someone, and this is the idea of defending something or someone. So speaking or acting in support or defence of something. So the kid stood up for his mate who was being bullied in the playground. He defended his mate who was being bullied in the playground. We're standing up for our rights. We're defending our rights. You can stick up for someone. Sort of means the same thing. To defend or protect. To stick up for someone. So you need to learn to stick up for yourself. You need to learn to stick up for yourself. So defend yourself, protect yourself, stick up for yourself. You can speak up for someone. And this is speaking up, as in so people can hear you, in support of something, in defense of someone or something. So we need to speak up for the rights of animals. We need to speak up for their rights. You can fall for something. If you fall for something, this is the idea that you've been tricked or you've been fooled by something. So maybe I called someone up and pretended to be the cops, pretended to be the police, and my friend thought I really was, so I tricked him, I fooled him, and I could say he fell for the joke, he fell for the prank. I tricked him, I fooled him when I rang up pretending to be the cops, and he fell for it. You can speak for someone. So if you speak for someone, it's the idea of you're speaking on their behalf. So the person can't speak themselves, you're doing it for that person, you're speaking for them. I could say this, for example, if we're sitting in a group, we're all eating cake, everyone's mouths are full except mine, I've just finished, I could say, I think I can speak for everyone when I say this cake tastes amazing. So I think I can speak on everyone's behalf, I think I can speak for everyone when I say this cake tastes amazing. We can also use speak for oneself or speak for yourself. So to speak for yourself or to say speak for yourself, this is the idea of expressing disagreement with an opinion that someone's expressed on your behalf. So if someone said, Pete and I, we really hate surfing, but it's not true. And maybe I speak out and I say, no, I love surfing. Speak for yourself. That's the idea of just talk about yourself. Don't talk for me, speak for yourself. Don't talk for me, don't speak for me. And we can also use speak for oneself to have obvious meaning. So to require no explanation, to be very self-explanatory, meaning it explains itself. It doesn't need you to comment or say anything. So his amazing CV, his amazing resume speaks for itself. We don't have to interview him. The resume speaks for itself. This guy is pretty good. Her actions speak for themselves. So the way she behaves tells us all what she's like. We don't have to talk to her. We don't have to ask. The actions speak for themselves. You can vote for someone or you can vote against someone. So this is where you can use for as the opposite of against. So you can be for something, you can be against something, you can vote for something, you can vote against something, and you can barrack for something or a team, or you can barrack against a team. Okay, so we voted for Obama. Maybe a group of people voted against Obama. The people who voted for Obama were for Obama. The people who voted against him were against him. I barrack for a team of footy, and the footy team is Essendon. So I barrack for Essendon and I barrack against all of the other teams. I go for Essendon. I guess you wouldn't use go against in that example. You would say I just go for that team. Okay, so this is the team we barrack for. This is the team we go for. To account for something. To account for something means have a record of something. So we can't account for the missing money. So we have no record of this money that's missing. We can't account for it. You can vouch for someone. To vouch for someone is... Sorry guys, my alarm keeps going off, so I'm just going to have to... You can vouch for someone. To vouch for someone means to affirm the truth or reliability of someone or something. So you vouch for it. I vouch for this guy, meaning I say he's trustworthy. I say you can trust him. He's a good guy. I vouch for him. So I affirm this guy is reliable. To vouch for someone. That's a good one. You can care for someone. The doctor cares for his patients. So it's kind of like looks after. You can come for someone. So that's the idea of going to a location to get something. The thief is coming for the treasure. You can long for something, you can pine for something, or you can ache for something. This all means that it's something you really want. So we'll often use this for relationships. I really long to be with that lady. I guess you would say long for that lady. I pine for that lady. I ache for that lady. I really want to be with her in a relationship. So the couple long for each other. They pine for each other. They ache for each other. It would be the idea that they've been separated and they're not together, but they really want to be. They long for it. They pine for it. They ache for it. You could also use this kind of sarcastically for someone who, for instance, if I found someone I really didn't like, I could say, he's aching for a punch in the face. So that would be like, yeah, he really wants this thing, but obviously he doesn't. But the way he's behaving suggests it's what he deserves or what he wants. So he's longing for a punch in the face. Probably wouldn't say he's pining for it, but aching for, I would say, yeah, that guy's really aching for a punch in the face if he was doing something really unpleasant. Someone can pay for something. So you could literally pay for something with your card. I pay for the dinner. I pay for the book. We're going out. We pay for dinner. But you can pay for it as in you will suffer the consequences. There will be repercussions. You'll pay for that. You're going to pay for that in the future. So it's like what goes around will come around. You're going to pay for what you did. So the murderer paid for his crime by going to jail, okay? To pay for something. You can be there for someone. So we went through that. You can have it in for someone. To have it in for someone is to really dislike someone. I've really got it in for my neighbor. I really hate my neighbor. My neighbor has it in for me. He really hates me. We have it in for each other. Something can be built for something, or it can be made for something. So that's the idea of it has a purpose. It has a purpose. The car was made for speed. Or this fence was made for keeping the neighbours out who have it in for us. There's birds outside, man, going nuts. You can fend for yourself. That is to look after yourself or take care of yourself to survive. So our parents died when we were really young and we had to fend for ourselves. We had to look after ourselves. We had to take care of ourselves. No one was going to do it for us, so we had to fend for ourselves. You might hear people say go for it as well. If you hear people say go for it, it can mean put maximum effort into achieving something. Go for it, dude. Go for it. So imagine you have a horse in a race that really, really tried to win. You could say he really went for it in that race. He went for the finish line. He really went for it. And we can also say it to sort of tell someone that they are free to do something as like an invitation. So to decide to do something, especially after a period of hesitation. Goddamn thing, all right. Sorry guys, had to go and kill that alarm. It kept going off. All right, so you can go for it as in to decide to do something, especially after a period of hesitation. So it's also like an invitation to do something. I might go to someone's house, I show up at their house, knock on the door, they let me in, and I say, do you guys mind if I grab a beer? Do you mind if I grab a beer out of the fridge? Is that okay? I'm not 100% sure. I don't just help myself. And the person could say, yeah, man, go for it. Go for it. As in, just go and do it. It's all yours. You're free to do it. Go for it. Okay? Almost done, guys. You can gun for something. Gun like this. You can strive for something. To gun for something, to strive for something. This is to pursue something as a goal, to work really hard to achieve something. Okay, so she's gunning for a promotion. She really wants that promotion. She's really working hard to get the promotion. She's pursuing the promotion. She's gunning for it. We could strive for a better life. So it's something we really want. We really want a better life. We decided to move to Australia. We moved to Melbourne. We set up our lives. We settled down in Melbourne. And now we're striving for a better life. We're gunning for a better life. You can make for something. I think we went over this just previously, as in I'm going for the exit. I'm making for the exit. It's what I'm going towards. It's what I'm going for. I'm going for that thing. You can be sent away for something or send someone away for something. This is to go to prison, to send someone to prison. So how long was the murderer sent away for? 3 years. He was sent away for only 3 years. You can send for someone or something, and that is to order someone to come to you, to summon someone, a person. You need them to be present. So I sent for the nurse. I was in hospital, I was a bit crook, a bit unwell, I was sick, and I really needed the nurse, so I sent for the nurse. I didn't get up and go for them, I sent someone else to go get the nurse for me. I sent for the nurse. That's it for those guys. So now we will go through a handful of different expressions and then we'll finish up. Okay, so the very first one here is to be all for nothing or to be all for naught. Naught as in zero. To be all for nothing, to be all for naught. And that means to be all pointless. To be for no purpose. So if we don't win this match, all of that training will have been for nothing. All of that training will have been for naught. If we don't win this match, it'll have all been for nothing. You can do something for the heck of it, or you can do something for the hell of it. And this is to do something for the sake of doing the thing. So you're just doing it because you can. Just doing it for the sake of it. So kids graffitied the wall for the hell of it. Kids graffitied the wall for the heck of it. Kids graffitied the wall for the sake of it. They did it because they could. They did it because they wanted to. You can be done for. If we're done for, this is to be doomed. We're going to die. We're done for. If a couple of kids are romantically involved and one of them comes to his girlfriend's house, climbs up the wall, sneaks in the window, and they're having fun in her bedroom, he shouldn't be there. He's not allowed to be there. She could say, be quiet, because if we get caught, we're done for. Meaning there'll be a lot of trouble, or we will get in severe trouble. We're done for. But it could also be that you're going to die. So imagine you're in an army, in a platoon of soldiers, you're surrounded, you're about to die, someone could shout out, we're doomed for, we're done for, we're going to die. You can gag for something. To gag for something is the idea of having your throat blocked, sort of being like, to gag. We use this in Australia to mean to really want something. So he's gagging for something. It can be used somewhat for talking about sexual things, but you can also use it for maybe some, food if you really wanted it, or maybe a new car, just anything that you really want. You'll hear people say, yeah, he's gagging for fish and chips tonight. He really wants some fish and chips, he's gagging for it. To be hit for 6. If you hit something for 6, or you get hit for 6, or you are hit for 6, it's to be affected in a devastating way by unexpected news. So when I found out I had cancer, I was hit for 6. When I found out I had cancer, it really hit me for 6. To be ripe for the picking. If something is ripe for the picking, ripe means a fruit that is ready to be eaten, to be ready to be picked. So if something is ripe for the picking, to be picked, literally that would be the fruit's ready to be taken off the plant. It's ready to be picked. The fruit's ripe for the picking. But we can use this to mean in a perfect position to be used or to be benefited from or to be taken advantage of. So the fruit's ripe for the picking is the literal version. Imagine you've got a bank and it is going to be incredibly easy to rob. The thieves or the robbers could say, this bank is ripe for the picking. Let's rob it. It's ripe for the picking. It's ready to be picked. We can take advantage of this thing. To make a beeline for something, this is a really good one. So a bee, you know, the little insect that goes over to flowers, sits on flowers and gathers the nectar to make honey, that's a bee. A beeline tends to be a straight line. So if you make a beeline for something, like a bee would go to a flower in a straight line, it wouldn't just, you know, sort of go all over the place if that's its destination. If you make a beeline for something, it's that you go in a straight line for that thing, or you go in a straight line to that thing. So imagine I go to the party, I go to a party, and I make a beeline straight for the bar. I really want the drinks, I really want some alcohol. I made a beeline straight for the bar. I went straight to the bar, I made a beeline for the bar. You might hear people say in Australia, what do you do for a crust? So to do something for a crust of bread, they're asking you, what do you do for a living? But figuratively, it's like, what do you do for a living so that you make money to buy bread, to be able to survive? What do you do for a crust, mate? So someone will probably say that to you at some point. If you go out into the country and they want to know what you do, they'll say, what do you do for a crust? Tell us what you do for a crust. To give someone a run for their money. That is, again, literally, I guess it's to require them to do quite a lot, make them run in order to get money. If you give someone a run for their money, though, it is to be or to cause something to be a challenge to someone or a challenge for someone. So imagine I'm a boxer and I get in the ring and I'm about to fight someone and it was really difficult, but I won in the end. I could say my opponent really gave me a run for my money. So my money being like the winning, the fact that I wanted to win. If he was really hard to defeat, I could say he gave me a run for my money. Imagine I'm betting on myself. And the very last one before we finish up is to have it in for someone. In fact, we went over that earlier, guys. If you have it in for someone, this is to dislike someone or to hate someone. So I think my teacher has it in for me. I don't think he likes me. My teacher has it in for me. So with that, guys, keep practicing this, and sooner rather than later, you're going to learn to use for with verbs to create phrasal verbs effortlessly. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Good job, guys. Thanks for sticking with it. If you guys have questions, you want to talk about anything we just went over, make sure you put a comment below with your question. Happy to hang around for a bit. I'll stick around and I will answer any of the questions that you decide to ask. Remember, if you want access to this course, if you want to sign up to this course and save money before it's finished and completed, when the course price will be bumped up, make sure you sign up now and you'll save 12%. The link is in the description, guys, and you'll get 2 of these episodes each week. At least that's the aim. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to get as many of these out as possible, but they take quite a bit of work. But at the moment, we have 6 out. 6 out. Okay, so sign up, give it a go, and you're going to learn to use phrasal verbs effortlessly. That's the whole point of this course. Okay, so what are some of the questions that we have here? So is for pronounced the same as for? It is, at least in the case of pronouncing it correctly. So for as in the number 4, F-O-U-R, and for as in the particle or the preposition for, as in like to look for something, to search for something, F-O-R. They're both pronounced the same way when articulated, when enunciated, when pronounced correctly. For. I have 4 friends. I'm looking for my keys. The interesting thing happens with the word for, F-O-R, the particle. When this is within a sentence, we will often contract it down because it's not important information within that sentence. You'll notice this happens with words like of, to, have, the present tense conjugations of be. These will often get contracted and kind of skipped over really quickly by natives when they speak. So, for example, I just said for really quickly. I'll do this when it's a collocation. I guess that's probably the easiest way to think about it. When for, the word for, is in a collocation, quite often I will really contract for and I will just say for. I'm looking for my keys. So you'll barely even hear it there, for. But anyway, the long answer to an easy question is that yes, they're pronounced exactly the same way properly when you say them correctly. However, when in a collocation within a sentence, for will often be pronounced as f instead of for. So I hope that helps. What else have we got here? Zuli. The actions speak for themselves. That's a good one. Even though we're speaking about actions of him or her, could I say the actions speak for him or her? I think for that sort of example, I would say more often that they speak for themselves. So if you were saying that something speaks for someone, it's that the words come out of their mouth for that person and on behalf of that person. Whereas the case of the thing being self-evident, not requiring explanation, it has to be for itself. It speaks for itself. So you can't really do that to someone else. It has to kind of be reflexive because it's you can't do something so that someone else doesn't have to be explained. You know what I mean? It's probably a complex way of explaining it. But yeah, if something speaks for itself, it needs to be reflexive. At least I think off the top of my head. How's it going, Simon? Thank you, Tito, for watching. Welcome, William. I hope you're going well, mate. Koi, how are you going, buddy? Can you pronounce world and girl? So they have the same diphthong, I guess. They do. World and girl. So the trick here, in Australian English, we wouldn't pronounce the R. Okay? So the vowel sound is earl. And I guess the L makes it a little bit trickier because it kind of shifts the shape of the mouth while I'm pronouncing the vowel sound. So world, and girl. So those are those two words, but try and ignore the R there because that is what quite often confuses people speaking English. The R often throws people off. And they try and pronounce both the R and the L, and that's a very complicated sound to try and make. Ignore the R there. World, girl. So it's just Earl. What else we got? Do Australians celebrate Halloween? Some do, Lala, some do. It's not really popular here, and to be honest, when I grew up, I used to see some kids doing it, but thought that they were losers because they're trying to be American when we just don't have the All Hallows Eve or Halloween celebration. It makes no sense. It would be like me celebrating Australia Day in America and trying to convince other people to do it. It just doesn't really make sense for many Australians. They don't have the cultural connection with it. And so I think the only reason people really did this was because they wanted food. They wanted candy. They wanted free food from neighbours. So it is done. You'll quite often see kids dressed up wandering around the streets in groups on the 31st of October, knocking on doors asking for candy, saying trick or treat. But most commonly, I don't think, A, many people do it, and B, many people will have food for these kids. There might be some though, but it's definitely a lot more popular in the US. What is the difference between toward and towards? When do we use it? That's a good one, Ruchi. Is it correct to say mention has been made? Ruchi. These are difficult questions. So toward versus towards. Can you give me an example sentence using it? Did you hear it somewhere where it was confusing? I think off the top of my head, I would most commonly use towards. So towards. I'm looking towards the TV, looking toward the TV. I think you could use either in those sort of, in that way. So you can say the same with downward, downwards, upward, upwards, outward, outwards. You can use either or, but I feel that not using the S kind of elevates the language a little bit. I feel like my grandfather I have heard say toward or upward or outward instead of towards, upwards, outwards. So I think you can probably use them interchangeably. I would most commonly use towards, upwards, outwards, backwards, etc. But it doesn't really matter. People will understand for sure. I think the only time you would use toward maybe by itself is if you were saying that something was a little toward, meaning that it was a little too confronting. So if you said someone was incredibly toward, I don't think that's not common language that I would use, but I think I've heard that before, and that would be like heard on those old movies like from the 1800s. What is it called? Like I've forgotten the names of these things, but like movies like Emma and what is it called with Mr. Darcy? I've forgotten the name of the film. Gosh, I hope my parents don't see this, but they would use that kind of thing, meaning he's too confrontational. Mention has been made. Yes, you could say that. Mention has been made about something. That is a pretty elevated way of saying that something has been mentioned. So it's just a higher level of English because you're kind of going the long way. You're not really going a shortcut. You're not getting to the point quickly. I mentioned something or someone mentioned something. In this case, you're kind of going around it by saying mention has been made about this thing. So Edson says here, I think Americans say toward and the British say towards. That could be true, mate. That could be true. Alave asks, what are the Aussie traditions for Christmas and New Year's? Oof. All right, Christmas and New Year's. So for me, I'm not overly religious. I'm not religious at all. But religious people would go to church. At least Christians would go to church to celebrate Christmas, obviously. Muslims would not go to church. I don't think Jewish people either would be celebrating Christmas at all. They might do it because it's just a public holiday, and so they just, they don't do it religiously, but they might do it like my family does, where we all just gather and give each other presents. The tradition here, though, would be the non-religious tradition. Obviously, you can go to church and celebrate Christmas, go to Mass. But the non-religious one would be to get a Christmas tree. You would have it, it's a pine tree, you would have it in your house. Everyone buys gifts for other people and they put them under the tree and then they all open them on Christmas Day. So we would tend to have barbecues, so we'd have barbies, I'd catch up with family, we'd have a few parties over Christmas Eve, the 24th, Christmas Day, the 25th, and Boxing Day, the 26th. So there'll usually just be a lot of parties. People will be watching cricket, drinking beer, having big feasts, big meals. My grandparents will make a roast. We will have a lunch together on Christmas Day. My grandmother loves doing that, so all my relatives will show up. We'll all do that. And then for New Year's, we just tend to get together. Again, we just stay up and watch the fireworks either on TV. The Sydney ones are really, really big. You can go out and about in the cities if you're in the cities and you want to go see the fireworks. Each big city around Australia will have fireworks that will be shown on TV as well. So I often avoid that now because I just don't like being around big crowds, especially at New Year's. I went to Sydney once and we got robbed, where we put down our bag, turned around, and then someone had nicked our bag. They picked it up and nicked off with it and actually took our car keys and camera, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, you can do that. I'll probably go down to my parents' place in Ocean Grove and check out the fireworks down there on the beach. So there's a big beach that's like kind of a straight line. We get down on the beach and you can see all the fireworks come up from a cliff that's nearby. So that's what I tend to do for Christmas and for New Year's. So Richie wants to know, what's frenzy? Frenzy. Let me find the definition. It's one of those words where I know it, but I don't want to screw up how to define it. So frenzy would be like extreme mental agitation, wild excitement or derangement. Apparently here, you'll often hear this with like feeding frenzy, and that's like everyone's going crazy at the same time trying to get food. So it's a feeding frenzy and everyone's going mad. The frenzy would be that amount of agitation, activity, craziness. That's the frenzy. So like, I think the best example might be imagining some piranha, the fish in the Amazon living in the river, and if some unfortunate soul falls into the water and disturbs the water and all the fish come up and go crazy and eat the person or the animal or whatever it is, that's a frenzy. All the animals going crazy, the agitation, the excitement, the activity, that's a frenzy. So I hope that helps, Ruchi. We might finish up there then, guys, if you don't have any other questions. Remember, check this course out, guys. It's designed to teach you phrasal verbs effortlessly. There'll be a lecture like this. I'll attach the screenshots of all the different slides that I'm reading off with examples, sentences, and definitions and everything like that with this video in set. So this video is free. It'll be on the podcast. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube. But if you want a complete transcript of every word that I say, as well as every single phrasal verb that I use, not just the ones related to for example, in this episode, make sure you enroll in this course, sign up. You'll save money the sooner you do it. You'll get 2 episodes a week, and you will definitely level your phrasal verb usage up. You're going to start using these naturally. You're going to use them effortlessly. You won't have to think. You'll just start spitting them out. You'll throw them out at people, and your English is really going to, get up to here. So definitely sign up and give it a go, guys. And I will see you in the next episode. Have an amazing week. See you guys.